10 most famous dogs in history. Mukhtars, Shariki, Laikas, and Bugs have been our four-legged companions since ancient times. Soft and sleek, big and small, serious and playful, they are always near us. In remote villages, bustling cities, snow, deserts, even under the ocean and in space, wherever there are people, there is a place for them. They are shepherds, hunters, guides, nannies, protectors, rescuers. Their careers are endless. The loyalty of dogs has long become legendary. As long as their beloved owners are by their side, they will succeed in everything they do. That's why even dogs have their own heroes, known to everyone, young and old. Who are they? The most famous dogs in the world. 1. Belka and Strelka. The list of famous dogs is led by our humble and charming compatriots, Belka and Strelka, who not only became pioneers but true space explorers. After a rigorous selection process based on criteria such as gender, age, weight, height, coat color, and even temperament, Belka and Strelka became one of the 12 dogs selected for the program. Like all real astronauts, they underwent strict training. They were taught to endure overload, long isolation in confined spaces, eat special foods, and not react to high noise levels. They succeeded in their mission, but only as backups. The honor of the first attempt belonged to other dogs, Seagull and Chanterelle, whose flight tragically ended before it even began. Their rocket exploded 19 seconds after launch. Just a month later, on August 19, 1960, Belka and Strelka entered space, spending over a day in orbit, circling the Earth 17 times. Their safe landing not only shook the world but also clearly demonstrated the ability to return safely from orbit. After returning to Earth, the dogs quickly recovered from the stress and lived out the rest of their lives peacefully and prosperously at the Institute of Aviation Medicine. The data obtained from their flight became the foundation for Yuri Gagarin's upcoming space mission. 2. Pavlov's dog. On the grounds of the Institute of Experimental Medicine in St. Petersburg stands a bronze monument to a dog. It is a monument to all the nameless and countless dogs sacrificed on the altar of science. In today's era of advanced technology, it's easy to understand why conservationists strongly oppose animal testing. They may forget that most of these advanced but humble technologies wouldn't have been invented and developed without research conducted in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, much of which was carried out by a Soviet scientist. The bronze dog sitting on a granite pedestal is known as Pavlov's dog. Ivan Petrovich Pavlov's research made valuable contributions to modern science and medicine. This would not have been possible without the four-legged animals, both purebred and mixed, who were the foundation of his work. But it would be unfair to consider Pavlov merely a vivisectionist. Many eyewitness accounts confirm that the scientist treated his experimental animals with great care, and even in the most difficult times in the lab, he did his best to provide the best possible living conditions for them. He always took the irreversible harm caused by experiments seriously and tried to preserve the life of every dog. This monument is dedicated to these dogs, whose lives made invaluable contributions to modern science. However, most of us associate the term Pavlov's dog with the concept of conditioned reflexes. In a series of experiments, scientists demonstrated that dogs could develop previously non-existent reflexes, such as associating a light turning on with receiving food. This even inspired some cartoons and jokes. One dog asks Pavlov's dog what a conditioned reflex is. "Do you see the red light?" Pavlov's dog replies, "As soon as the light turns on, the person over there brings us food." In 1904, Pavlov won the Nobel Prize for his research, becoming the first Russian to receive this honor. The dogs that helped him with his research deserve to be remembered forever and deeply respected, for they saved not just hundreds or thousands of lives, but millions. The German Shepherd. The German Shepherd we all know as Inspector Rex is a true movie star in the canine world, ranking third among the most famous dogs in the world. The superstar of the popular detective series was born in 1991 at an elite breeding school in Germany. At 17 months old, the dog auditioned for the role of Tails Cop. Thanks to the training Santo, affectionately called Badger by his trainers and acquaintances, received from professional dog trainer Carl Miller and his daughter Teresa, he secured the role despite competing against a group of 40 selected candidates, many of whom were older and more experienced. For successful filming, BJ trained for 4 hours a day and learned over 30 commands. the most famous of which was stealing sausage dumplings, a staple scene in every episode of the show. BJ played his one and only but beloved role from 1994 to 1999, earning $15,000 per episode. Even after retiring, he remained the richest dog in the world for a long time. His devoted handler brought the aging dog to the set so he wouldn't feel bored and could stay in a familiar environment. When asked about the incredible success of Inspector Rex, police dog handlers shook their heads in disapproval. After all, a real service dog can't make decisions, conduct investigations, and single-handedly save the city from criminals. But let's not forget, there is a lot of hard work behind a great adventure film, including BJ's honest efforts. 4. Hachiko. Ranking fourth on this list is Hachiko, known for his unwavering dedication. The Akita dog from Tokyo spent his entire life patiently waiting for his deceased owner at the entrance to Shibuya Station. His owner, Isaburo Ueno, a professor at the University of Tokyo, would take the dog with him as he prepared to go to work. Near the station, the dog would stay behind, and at 3 p.m. he would return to pick up his owner after work. On May 21st, 1925, the professor suffered a heart attack and passed away at the hospital. Hachiko, then only 18 months old, became an orphan, but the next day he returned to the station, waiting until late at night. Though friends of the late professor tried to take the dog in, he always returned to the station and spent the night in front of the house where the professor had once lived. This story might have remained one of many untold sad tales if it hadn't been noticed by a reporter from one of Tokyo's largest newspapers in 1932. After inquiring with local businessmen and learning Hachiko's story, the reporter wrote an article that deeply moved the hearts of the Japanese. An old, faithful dog is waiting for the return of his master who passed away 7 years ago. Couples in love came to witness this living embodiment of loyalty, and Hachiko continued to wait for Professor Ueno until he passed away in 1935 when his loyal heart stopped beating on his way to the station. A monument to Hachiko was erected while he was still alive, and his story became the plot of a famous Japanese film that was remade in Hollywood in 2009, starring Richard Gere as Hachiko's owner. 5. Balto, the husky who ranks fifth, became famous after the terrifying event of 1925 when a diphtheria epidemic broke out in the town of Nome, Alaska, threatening every resident, especially children. Tragedy followed. Strong winds prevented airplanes from taking off. A shipment of antitoxin, diphtheria serum, the only thing that could save the infected, needed to be transported from the nearest train station, more than 1,000 kilometers away. It was decided to assemble a relay of dog sled teams to transport the package along the route. The team, led by Gunnar Kaasen, with Balto at the forefront, was responsible for the penultimate leg of the journey. The trek was extremely challenging, and they arrived at their destination late at night. To make up for lost time on the difficult path, the driver decided not to stop and change dogs, thinking that they had already overcome the hardest part. They hadn't gone more than a few miles when a snowstorm began. According to Kaasen, they couldn't orient themselves or even see anything at all. The risk of falling into deep ravines, getting lost, and freezing was alarmingly high, but that's when Balto showed his true mettle, confidently and accurately leading the sled team through the blizzard straight to Nome. The dogs covered 73 miles, about 110 kilometers in 7.5 hours, and the epidemic was stopped. As one of the sled dogs that saved thousands of lives, Balto became a symbol of courage and relentless determination. A monument to the dog was placed in New York's Central Park. Number 6, Leo. The sixth spot goes not only to an honest and upright Dutch customs officer, but also to a drug detection dog named Leo. This remarkable dog made history as a customs shepherd. Leo worked at Amsterdam Airport for 9 years. Dogs typically serve for much shorter periods, and throughout his service, he demonstrated a work ethic and professionalism that many could only dream of. With Leo's help, around 300 people were arrested for drug trafficking. In total, 18 kilograms of cocaine, 28 kilograms of heroin, 1 ton of hashish, and 3 tons of hashish were found in luggage, carry-on bags, cargo, and mail. The total cost of this drug arsenal is difficult to estimate, but it surely amounts to tens of millions of dollars. These drugs were either handed over to pharmacists for processing into medicine or destroyed. After his service, Leo received a state pension and a place in a luxury hotel for retired dogs. Leo was awarded a Guinness World Record for his unprecedented achievements in the fight against drug trafficking.